Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the task exploratory data analysis on the dataset global terrorism. As we all know, the terrorism is a major problem in every country. So we have to explore data and we want to see like which countries are facing this issue majorly and what are the causes for this. Okay, so we'll start by importing the necessary libraries. Here we are importing necessary libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Seaborn for the visualization purposes. Now we are going to read our data set, which is a global terrorism, which is in the CSV format. And here we are using the encoding type. This is a type of encoding. And why are we using it? We are using it to solve the Unicode decode error, which we can face in the pandas while reading the files. Okay. So now we are going to see our data set, how it looks like. We can see like our data set is event ID, I year, I month. So from this data set we can conclude there is like some improper naming convention. So if we want to, we can rename all these columns. So further we are exploring our data set. We are going to see the columns name only. Here this event ID I year. So we can rename I year as a year in the next step. Okay, so our next step is to rename the columns. Here I selected some columns as per my understanding which could be useful for our analysis of our data, as we have so many columns in our data set. So I am choosing it as per my understanding what and all I can use for the further analysis. After selecting columns, we can see our data set, and after renaming one how it looks like. Now it's not I year, it's year, it's month, day, approx date. So it's more readable now. Now we are going to select the appropriate columns from our data as we have already renamed. So we can use the rename column and the other names of the column also which we want to include to explore the data. Okay, so this is our final data set, terror data, which we are going to explore. So if we are going to see the null values in our data set, we can find like all these are fine except some, like this one, motive and summary. As we can see they have more null values, but it's okay, we are not dropping it for now, as we know the summary and the motive would be in some categorical format and it could give us some insight about the data. Now we are going to do the visualization to check relationship between the different variables. Here we are going to do the analysis, it could be bivariate. And now here we are going to see like as per the years how many attacks we are having in the years, like in which year we are having more number of attacks and in which year these are less. This is a basically graph of year versus number of attacks. Okay, so from this graph we can infer like mostly the attacks are in the year this 2014, if we can see. Yes, so we can conclude from this data it's a 2014 year in which we have a more number of terror attacks. Now here we are going to see in which country how many attacks are there. So on the basis of this we can infer something about the countries in which countries are facing terror attacks problem more. Here we can see the most frequent attacks are in the Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, which all rename as Muslim countries. So now we are going to see through visualization, and here we are plotting a graph in between the countries and the count of terror attack. Like here we are comparing the countries from perspective of the terror attacks, like which country is facing the more terror and attacks and which are not. So here we can see like mostly the countries like Iraq, Pakistan and Afghanistan are facing this terror attacks type of problem. So we can conclude something from all these things, like whatever we are seeing, like from year it's a 2014 which is having a more number of terror attacks. From the perspective of countries, these are all, if we'll see the top three countries, these are Iraq, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And further if we'll inquire about the state regions, we can further see. And now we are coming for the states, and if we'll compare states, here also we can see Baghdad and Northern Ireland are the states which are facing the more terror attack. Now we'll see about for the region also. Here it will plot the graph between the region and the count of terror attack, and this is the graph for the top region affected. So from this graph we can infer the mostly the Middle East and North Africa and the South Asia are the regions which are facing the problem of a terror attack. So this is the way of a visualization, and it's like more very powerful tool with the help of which we can infer the most of the information, and it's easy to grasp in the format of visualization. That's why we are doing the visualization. So now if we'll see for the group, like they are most popularly group in the field of the terror like Taliban and ISIL, SL. So we want to see which groups are majorly contributing towards terror attack. So here if we see, we are seeing for the groups, and these are Taliban, ISIL. We have some unknown values also. So for now we are going to drop this value and we'll see from the next one, that is Taliban. So this is our data for all the groups which are having the count. These are the counts of the terror attack or the corresponding groups. Okay, so now we are going to plot the graph in between the groups and the count of terror attack. So with this graph we can see the top group affected by, like if we'll see from this graph we can say the mostly the Talibans are the one which is are having more count of terror attack. So for the next one, if we are going to see like attack type, which type of attack is there, like whether it would be bombing, explosion, armed assault, assassination, which type of terror are taking place. So for this we are going to plot a bar graph in between the attack types and the count of terror attack, and from this graph we can visualize that we can infer most number of attack types are falling into the bombing and explosion. So it means whatever the terror attacks are going over the world, the most of the attacks are causing by the bombing and explosion. This is a very serious problem for the countries which is having the more number of count of terror attack. So from these type of visualization we can infer a very good amount of information and can take necessary steps in the future. So what and all we have concluded from this, as we can do the more analysis on this data set, but and the main conclusion what we have concluded from this is like the countries which are mostly terror attacks, these are the Iraq, Pakistan and Afghanistan, as we have already discussed through the visualization also. We will talk about the state, it's Baghdad and Northern Ireland which falls into these countries only, and we will talk about the region in a broader perspective, it's Middle East and North Africa and South Asia, and we will talk about the groups included, it's Taliban basically, and ISIL is also contributing towards it, and we will talk about the attack types, which is the main one among all the two this attack types, it's the bombing and explosion. So this is all from my side for the exploratory data analysis on the terrorism dataset. We can do more from this dataset. So for now this is, thank you.